On April 9th, 2024, just a few days ago, a theme park opened to the public in the UAE just outside of Dubai. Now that may sound normal, but the circumstances leading up to the park's opening were anything but. First off, that park is Real Madrid World, the first theme park completely based around a sports team, despite being located over 3,500 miles away from that sports team. It took the place of a park themed to Bollywood, as well as taking the rides that came with it, and opened completely randomly with no prior indication of an opening date. All this led to the park being basically deserted in its first few days of operation. And to be quite honest, this park may just end up being one of the single worst investments in theme park history. Real Madrid World is one of 7 properties part of Dubai Parks and Resorts, an entertainment destination located 30 minutes outside of Dubai. Dubai Parks and Resorts was announced in 2012 and officially opened on October 31st, 2016, containing 3 main theme parks. If you watched my video on the Middle Eastern amusement industry, this might sound familiar, and if you didn't, I recommend checking it out. The 3 parks were Motion Gate, Legoland Dubai, both of which are still operating, and Bollywood Parks Dubai, which is not. From the time the resort opened, it was clear that it was much smaller and less grand than it was originally intended to be. This was especially noticeable in the case of Bollywood Parks Dubai. Despite its pretty atmosphere, the park simply did not have anything to do, and as a result did not draw in very many crowds. Because of this, it's extremely puzzling to me why the resort elected to re-theme the park while keeping all the rides. Bollywood Parks Dubai didn't need to be ripped up and have a new park stuck in its place. If it had any chance of being successful at all, that would have come with the addition of new rides. What's especially confusing is that it would have been incredibly easy for Bollywood Parks Dubai to get the attractions it so desperately needed. They already had a GCI Woody under construction that just didn't open, as well as the track for a mock hypercoaster and mock power splash on site from another failed theme park in the area. Those 3 coasters alone would have surely bolstered the park's attendance and given it one of the best coaster collections in the area. But that's besides the point. What the resort is now left with is Real Madrid World. So, is this new park any good? To put it quite frankly, no. Since the park opened very recently, it hasn't seen too much media coverage, but from what I found, Real Madrid World has the same problems as its predecessor while having an atmosphere centering around one specific sports team. Remnants from the old Bollywood Parks Dubai can still be seen throughout the park, which looks to create a very confusing environment, and the lack of notable attractions is still a major problem. That GCI Woody I mentioned and a Starflyer are literally the only things in the whole park I would have any interest in riding. Of course, the main selling point of this new park is the theme, Real Madrid. In case you're somehow not familiar with Real Madrid, it's one of the biggest football clubs in the entire world. And while I'm sure there's a ton of fans of this team, I'm even more sure that a theme park on a whole different continent cannot depend on that fan base to fill the park day after day. If it were just themed to the sport as a whole, that would make a lot more sense. But Dubai Parks and Resorts took a park themed to Bollywood that drew in hardly any visitors, keep in mind that Bollywood might have had some sort of appeal in that part of the world, and replaced it with one themed to a Spanish soccer team. Now you might think, oh, that's just one aspect of the park, I'm sure other people would want to visit too, after all it's still a theme park, right? Wrong, because here's the deal breaker. This park costs 295 dirhams or over $80 to visit. What on earth are these people thinking? To be fair, yes, Dubai is a very expensive area to visit, especially for theme parks. But Real Madrid World, a property with 2 worthwhile attractions, is more expensive than every Cedar Fair park, that includes Cedar Point, every Six Flags park, Dollywood, Hershey Park, Silver Dollar City, Europa Park, Fantasialand, Energylandia, Alton Towers. You know what? It's more expensive than 95% of quality theme parks in the world. And all it has is a GCI, a Starflyer, some simulators, and an arcade. Projects like this make me start to wonder about the state of the amusement industry in the Middle East. It seems as if none of these resorts have a good return on investment, and with places like Six Flags Qiddiya under construction, it leads me to believe that the powerhouse of theme parks in that part of the world will crumble before it even really begins. Eventually, with hit after hit being taken by that industry, the seemingly endless supply of money allocated to developing entertainment destinations will dwindle rapidly. And this might not be such a bad thing. With all of these properties being developed, the mistreatment of migrant workers through the kafala system, a form of modern slavery, becomes more and more widely spread. At the end of the day, this is a coaster channel, but if you're thinking about taking a trip to visit Real Madrid World, Dubai Parks and Resorts, or any future projects like Six Flags Qiddiya, know that your money goes into that economy, fueling further forced labor and violations of basic human rights. Overall, I doubt Real Madrid World will have any more success than the park that came before it, barring any major investments. It's a last-ditch effort by a resort that had promise, but cut corners since its inception, and I'd imagine that the park, if not the resort as a whole, will close sometime in the next 10 years or sooner. The Middle Eastern amusement industry seems to be expanding too rapidly compared to what it really is to stay afloat, so I would not be surprised if every part of it collapses. And if it does, we can all look back to Real Madrid World as one of the indicators why.